So, hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the podcast named Hackcast. And today we are once again with the Aditya Shende, usually known as Kongsak, and we will be discussing on a very main topic methodologies, and also we'll be talking on how to find the P1 bugs, how to do a perfect recon for getting the maximum bounties, and many more. So before going into the video, we're having few courses. As you all guys know, Bug Bounty Batch 10, which is completely fixed for beginners, and the registration are closed now as we are done with the registrations. And we are also having the Bug Bounty Batch 3. In that particular course, you will be learning everything for the advanced methodologies, advanced reconnaissance, and advanced bugs, which can lead you to maximum P1 and 4 digits or 5 digit bounties in your bug bounty career. And also, as you guys know that we are having few recorded courses like the reconnaissance for bug bounty, which was free for few hours. If you are on the Twitter, you know that. We are also having the business logic course. We are also having the resource bundle, which contains a lot of resources for bug bounty hunters. And also, we are having a new course title, which is the scary methodology, the actual reality behind bug bounty hunting, and all the things that you actually need to know. How everyone got the P1 bugs, how you can get your first tries, how you can. So that was for the promotions. You can check all the courses in the description. And let's go into the video.
Okay, so as we have seen the first part with Aditya Shende, the one and only Kongsek here with us. We have seen the first part, and today we are here for another part. So we'll be discussing on multiple topics. So let's take a look. So in the previous podcast, we have seen multiple things like how anyone can get started into it, and how multiple people can look for other bugs, approach, and all the things. So the second episode that I would preferably like to take, you can see that I got a lot of demand for few things, which is methodology, or I like you can see that approach. So would you like to tell something about methodology or approaches? Then let me know.
Yeah, so basically, if I'm hunting on any kind of target, so let's suppose you can talk about Bugcrowd, HackerOne, or any platform you're choosing. So I make sure the platform or the program which is paying the more. So
Mm-hmm.
let's get started from minimum $500 to maximum 10,000, 20,000.
Mm-hmm.
So I choose the wide scope program which have the good bounty amounts. So it's not like that choosing this randomly this and that like VDP's program. So,
Yep.
but if we are getting paid for it, so absolutely I will choose that. So in that case, most of the time, bug bounty programs who have a good range of bounty amounts, I choose that. So let's take an example. If I'm hunting on a bug crowd, the target will be a Tesla because they have a wide scope
Yep.
and they also pay a very good amount of things. Apart from that, once I choose the target, I don't use any VPS or I don't use any kind of other things, but whatever the systems I have the best systems for hunting. So in that case, I would choose for scanning the ports. First of all, get all the subdomains. In that case, there are three types of things which I do. So basically, first types of domain, second types of domain, and third type. So which would be site colon star dot then whatever the tesla.com or teslamotors.com. So on that basis, sometimes even subdomain enumeration tools cannot find exact things what we wanted.
Yeah.
So that might be possible that we can get from Google crawling, or there are some endpoints which can be exposed through the Google. So one time I was hunting on very good site on a bug crowd, which was very famous. I won't take the name. So I was just randomly hunting on that, and it's absolutely wide scope. But just for increasing my profile, I started to hunt on VDP. So let's see, increase the points or increase the severity. So I found it, and unfortunately for the program, I was able to get access to the dashboard without any authentication. So absolutely nowadays PHP, if someone is using a PHP, which is the oldest website or demo website, staging environment, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
still they will be vulnerable. In first glance, finding the subdomains using multiple methodologies that includes virtual host discovery, that includes a port scanning. Still, as a port scanning, if there is a specific port, so let's suppose 8443 is open on that specific port, I will be scanning with the FUF for more directories or more information.
Yeah.
And as I said before, virtual discovery, subfinder, all asset node finder, tools, whatever the publicly there are. But apart from that, there are search engines like Shodan, Census, Zoomai, with that specific title. So most of the bug bounty program says if the wide scope is there, so they say like whatever the assets related to the target all
Yep.
are in scope. So what I do, I just search for, let's suppose, Tesla.
Yeah, by the way, that's a very underrated thing. When it comes to anything under the asset, they're only looking for domains. But there the IP comes, right? You can get a lot of crazy things when it comes to slowdown and census.
Yeah. On that basis, but still there are a few things which I believe that we miss. So
Yeah,
let's suppose HTTP title, if that specific
absolutely.
title is on the target, we can probably go on a showdown and we can look for it. But there are a few things, if we look for medium scope, then
Mm-hmm.
we cannot get that much result. If there are wide scope, we can get a lot of result. So in the basic glance, I just go for subdomain enumeration, or like how can I get more assets which is related to the target.
Yeah. And rather than that, if we take a deeper look, what I believe sometimes the methodology is just about the starting process and then it all becomes on what we find.
So it depends on application. So
Absolutely.
basically,
Like,
we say like we don't have the five fingers as the same. Every company don't have same policy or same functionality. We don't know
yeah.
what will happen next. So let's suppose you started hunting on any of the target and you wanted to look for XSS, or let's suppose SSRF only, but you ended up within XML injection, or you ended up within SQL injection.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know what we are going to do, but we have the specific checklist. So most of the people have their own checklist, like they will check this, and apart from that, they will jump. But in my case, I don't have any checklist. I just go like a bull, whatever see these and that, I just grab it. But there is a discipline which I made about the reconnaissance. Like after this, I will do this, and after that, I will do that. So first of all, let's suppose we can take any name. So let's suppose Microsoft. So
Mm-hmm.
probably I will be doing a recon on Microsoft for, let's suppose, 10 days or 7 days. After whole recon, I'll be jumping on the manual things. If I get bored with the manual things, I'll be jumping on the automation.
Yep.
So it's like a here and there. But if they are paying a good, so let's suppose now at the days I'm hunting on, yes we had. There are very private invitations I have received and very wide scope. So
Mm-hmm.
recently I've seen the video of Namsik. And I knew that thing, but I never applied it. That how we can continuously scan for the subdomains using all those enumeration tools plus notify.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I get the new subdomain, I started to look. If there is a new subdomain, absolutely there is a new vulnerability, new functions, new code.
Absolutely.
And if there are some good interns in my case, so if they push a very good code on the main environment, then it will be
Yep.
very big bounties.
Yeah, so that's a kind of very crazy thing on by just being active on a particular place. Usually that that's a thing that people ignore. We we usually try to find multiple bugs on multiple subdomains, but
Yeah.
ignore the one that are newly discovered. So that's a very clever moment, if I can say that.
Sometimes the methods are very simple. Like even if you
Yeah.
look for any target, so let's suppose any target, whatever the wide scope you have, you can just put the site colon star.target.com, and you can look for extension which is ext colon, and try to look for XLS files. So
Hmm.
some of the XLS files can disclose a lot of sensitive information, even CSV extension, text extension. As a wide scope, they do have multiple files exposed. So we don't know which file will expose what, and we have to check one by one on that.
There's a thing called usually a lot of people ask that what do you do in the recon? Like like we have just say that the recon it will be like around 7 days, maybe 5 days, maybe only a single day. So what's in the recon? Like it's just finding subdomain or many more than that. We all know that many more than that. Like Sudan and Wayback can take days if they are very good target and or wide scope target. But what's the actual thing that take that much time?
So exactly when it comes to the recon, so let's suppose the basic recon has been done about the subdomain,
Mm-hmm.
wayback, fuzzing, all those things. So this is the main part of the whole building, and then we are going to jump on the next. So filtration of JavaScript files, filtration of XML files, and manually taking the look at that, that will content a very good time, or it will include a very good time.
Yep.
So if you look about recon, so there are multiple extensions which can directly find the keys or tokens, whatever for the you. But when you look at the JavaScript files, So there are some files that can disclose the API paths, disclose the endpoints. Let's suppose app.js or main.js.
Mm-hmm.
These kind of files can disclose a lot of paths. So what I do, if I see that JavaScript file, and if I believe, like, let's suppose prod.js or production.js, I will open that. There are some keywords which I have made for myself by graping. I look at that specifically and check for the paths if any path is disclosed. And
Okay.
there is a regex pattern we can create using a chat GPT. I also don't know how to do the codes actually. So I can just ask, like, can you create a regex for this pattern to create this kind of pattern from the
Mm-hmm.
URL. So it creates that. I get the paths. And what I do, if I get those paths, so basically, first glance, we have done the fuzzing over using like normal word list.
Mm-hmm.
Now at this moment, we are going to do the fuzzing with the paths what we have received,
Yeah.
what we have enumerated through the JavaScript file. It's not only applicable to the JavaScript, it is also for the XML, it is also for sometimes the source codes also. It's also applicable to the XML and whatnot. So there are numerous kind of extension we can look for.
Yep.
And many people said, like, there is one keyword which I have seen most of the source code or JavaScript, which is pendo.js. So, and gtm dash id equal to whatever it is. So there is a one thing. Most of the time, website discloses. It's like 100% or 99%. They disclose the GTM ID in the source code. So when we open that specific GTM ID with the Google Tag Manager, sometimes and most of the times I have seen, I can say like 60 to 70% tokens are exposed, include JWT, that starts with EYJ. Also,
Yep.
it excludes the API paths. Also, it excludes like few of the very sensitive things, like even you can imagine the Firebase. So that
Yes.
specific GTM keyword, which I felt is really good for the reconnaissance. This is only for JavaScript files. That's it. There
Yeah.
are other files are still there.
So it's all about having a deep look into all the files, not just having a subdomain and a specific file in the name of recon.
Yeah. So then there are still automation is still going on. But what I felt like, I developed myself few scripts. I implement that. It worked fine. But whatever the expected result I have in my brain, that I didn't get it. So I said,
Yeah,
like,
in the end, it's all about having a visual recon, having your eyes on the page, and a lot of resources will just scroll through it. And that's the best thing that we can do, I guess, when it comes to recon.
mostly people say, like, Aditya, how you can look for the each and every file, like this file, that file. I say, like,
I
if I
spend
want
time.
to, भाई पैसे चाहिए तो करना पड़ेगा. So that's the main part actually.
Yeah, that's the very truth. पैसे चाहिए तो करना पड़ेगा.
So it's not like that I am getting a dark circle and people saying, like, Aditya getting bounties daily, these and that, or any people getting bounties. It's not that. Like, I also get a
There is
burnout.
no special step. It's just about like you have the same thing, we have the same thing. There are multiple things. Where there are few people. Like the last bounty I got, I posted in a private group. Few of them were like, we have hunted on the program, but we got nothing. But it's not about that you have hunted. You are like I hunted and you hunted. There is no difference. We all got the same resources, but in the end, what we used is like our focus. People are like
So,
having a recon of 5 minutes. Subfinder, HTTPX, Webback, GAU, Nmap, and good night. That's all.
so even using a specific tool. So I'm not
Yeah,
saying, like, whatever the comfort they have, let them do it. But the
absolutely.
moment they get out of the comfort, they will get to know, like, what they are missing.
Yep.
So using the specific file. So sometimes I decided, like, last month I was like doing a Google Document only
Mm-hmm.
itself, and I made a not that bad but not that good bounties, but like a very good enough using a Google Docs. But what I felt, more we focus on the Google Document,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a very different result or different criteria we get from the different search engines. So let's suppose Bing, Yandex, or Google search engine. I'm getting like a different results. So
Yeah.
some things are Google, some things on Bing, something on Yandex. I said, like, okay,
Yeah,
that's
there is
good.
a case I recently found about. There was something, a particular doc I was trying to use it on multiple platforms like Google, Bing, Yandex,
Yeah.
also the the Yahoo, the DuckDuckGo. But in the end, all what I found was very simple thing. I actually tried to do a thing. You can say that I was trying to find extension .sql in a target, but in the end I found nothing on Google. But on the DuckDuckGo I found three SQL files. So yeah, that differs. But there is a big like Godfather Orva has made a video on it. I guess I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure if he has made the website a video or what.
Need to check. I guess there are few videos has been removed, but because even on my channel itself, when I was doing the live stream, I found very sensitive information, and due to some YouTube guidelines, I have to block that away. I said like, okay, just stop it here, and it was absolutely like 1 hour thing. But what I felt, if let's suppose 500, 600 people watching it live,
Damn
uh,
man.
this might create some
If there is
issues.
a case, let me know.
Yeah. So that would be on 7th of August. So it was very fantastic actually, because many people were like shocked. What did he find? It was just a normal file and we didn't expected this. But what I was telling them, so these were like a small reconnaissance part. So the next thing we jump on, many people have the question that Aditya, what target need to be chosen? I know on our crowd choose the wide scope. I know on
There
the
is a
hacker.
big fight between platforms among the hunters. No, I
Hmm.
support this, I support that. It's not about that. What you hunt on, that all matters, right?
In my case, I support money.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
whichever platform it's coming up, money
It's all
wherever,
about money.
I'm good with it, no problem at all. So that it's just about the money. So nowadays I'm getting money from this platform, European platform. I'll be good with that. If I'm getting from Switzerland, I'm good with that. So it's not about the thing bug bounty ending. End of the day, everybody wants to make a money. Everyone is looking for bread and milk.
Absolutely.
That's it.
It's not about supporting a platform.
Yeah,
And
it's
like usually, the big doubt how to choose programs. Uh,
so in that case, choose a program which includes multiple function.
that's all.
And the answer is very simple. I can tell you. Let's suppose CRM services,
Mm-hmm.
or let's suppose I will give you example like a trip advisor. Okay. So TripAdvisor have multiple function. You can create a trip, you can delete trip, you can make it private, you can make it public, you can add a collaborator, you can remove that person, you can add people in. So these kind of functions are very helpful for finding issues. So
And
that can lead to broken access control most of the
yeah,
time.
and when it comes to multiple and complex functionality, it can also lead to a hell lot of business logic.
Yeah, but what I do in my case, if I believe, so let's suppose this is the function that we can add a specific user and we can make him admin. Okay. So this is a design principle. So I will check that how can I make that specific person admin to super admin? How can I give him higher privileges if that's not available? So we are basically abusing those functions. He don't have any kind of privileges, and we directly giving him super admin or whatever the higher privileges it is. Apart from that, this like internal things we can say like internal function. Even getting, so let's suppose 100 subdomains you have, and from 100 subdomains you have seen like 3 4 subdomains looks like same, they works like same. Let's suppose market.tel.com and
Yeah,
sales.tel.com. So I exclude those duplicate subdomains. I remove the static domains, I remove the functional domains, and I sort it out actually. So let's take the time. So let's suppose 500 subdomains. If I'm doing daily 100 subdomain sorting, it will be very easy. So basically, static domains, I look for the technologies. So let's
yep.
suppose 50 domains are static.
Hmm.
I will check the technologies. Let's suppose PHP, ASPX, Node.js, JavaScript, or Apache HTTPD, whatever it is. I will get the word list, all of this in a mix, take all the subdomains, 50 subdomains, and run the dir search or FUF on that.
Yep.
And absolutely, I will get the guaranteed results because I know this website is using this technology.
Yeah, like that in the previous few podcasts we discussed that everyone would be very focused on learning bugs but not learning functionalities.
So I'm more into learning functionality.
Yeah,
So,
functionality and services is very important. Like we all can agree on that, I guess.
but the question it creates that even if you learn the functionality, how you gonna abuse it?
Yeah, absolutely. You need to understand the working of it and all the critical parameters of it. Like sometimes, When it comes to WordPress, a very simple example, we need to understand the configuration of it, the
Yep.
important parameters of it, and what are the particular endpoints that can be exposed, that we have to manually set it down, right?
Most of the time, like people stick to the technology. If someone is very good with the Jira, they will go with the Jira. If someone good with the WordPress, they will go to WordPress,
Yep.
Android, iOS, whatever it is. But in that case, if current trends are going through like a CVE, so
Hmm.
someone is exploiting 0 days or exposing the things, so we should try on that. Many of my students ask me like, have you done with the log4j? Have you done the log4j? Sometimes I said, I never done the log4j, never ever till the moment, because when the log4j was exposed, everyone was doing that, and many people made the good money. But what I felt like, I tried it, I found it, and I said like, okay, this is the result, and all things are affected. But if everyone is doing the same thing, I won't do that, and that's how I avoid the duplicates. That's it.
That's the reason. And one more thing, like we have recently seen your recon, like you do JS observation and multiple things. Like a lot of people, I'm not gonna specify a particular thing, but they usually hunt on. They will directly jump onto functionalities. Okay, that's the website. Our terminal is in the background. We are having few tools on it, and we will do straight into. We'll go straight into the particular functionalities like OAuth and all these things. Like you can go into that, but before that, we need to take a look on the JS files and multiple things. Like we have only talked about JS files. There are multiple things rather than the JS file. The Git recon. You are having a
Hmm.
very good Git recon. Like we all know that. Very amazing with it. We will move on to that topic. We are not
Yeah.
too far from it. And all these things, they are very important on it. So it's not about directly jumping on functionalities, if I'm right.
So basically, the one thing you said, like looking for the JavaScript files or all the JS files,
It's not
reviewing the
only
source and
about the
everything.
JS, I guess.
Yeah. So there are few bugs which I found, which was very interesting by myself. I felt it because if I'm a normal user like an employee and I'm having access of the CEO dashboard, or let's suppose CEO privileges, or whatever the small things he can have or she can have. So I was having that just because of one JS file disclosing the path of the API
Yep.
and method of the API. And literally, I used my own auth bearer token, which was in JWT EYJ. So what I did, I just put my token as it is. I remove the path of the API and I put the path of the higher
Hmm.
privileged account. And I was able to see the information in JSON syntax. I said like, if path can give me this, so I was having access to multiple other sensitive information through the higher level of CRMs and SRMs.
Yep.
So that was disclosing information just because of one JS file. But end of the day, I never told that program that this file is disclosing the path. So whenever they patched it, I used to bypass it. Whenever they patched it, I used to bypass. I created a regex pattern where I can access a lot of things using that specific regex pattern. I can go for that specific path, so it can automate and enumerate those paths. So that was helping a lot for me.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all about playing with the mind, having a clever idea about the bug.
Yeah.
There is a thing I have recently heard about. It was observing the program's response. Usually, you found five bugs on it. Just report single bug, and let's observe what you get.
So
Like because there are multiple programs that are being very rude to the hunters. They are like, you found it, it's our bug. We will not give money. They are having that their mindset for it.
it has been a very familiar with me, because there was a point I used to get very aggressive against this decision, but sometimes I felt like, let the karma do the thing. I won't do anything, and it happens all the times. But I like the programs which gives like a very fast response. So I have patience like a week or maybe max to max 10 days. After 10 days my patience will be gone, so I will just ask for the updates like what's going on, because I have reported serious issue and you are just like ignoring it or whatever the
It's
things
not.
going on.
I haven't taken this much time to find it, buddy. You can at least take a look here.
You can just look at it, and I don't think so. Like, let's suppose you are having the access to something,
There is
using
someone
the
having a job to just look for it and they're not looking it. What the hell, man?
I was literally access someone internal desk and I was like chatting through their employee section that I am having access to your internal desk and I'm chatting through that specific desk like as an employee. So I was impersonating myself as an employee of that organization and they were like, okay, I will, you can raise the ticket and we can look into it. I said, I'm not the person from your organization. Let me
Yeah,
make this clear because your guys are not replying, so I have to take this
very
vulnerability.
good step.
Yeah, so we said, okay, okay, now we have to look at. So, but what I did, what I learned, so at any cost, if I felt like the vulnerability is very serious or very crucial that can affect a company very bad manner, so I report or I took CTO and CEO in the middle of the case, and probably they solve the things because they know how to run a company and they want the company secure. So that's what I do most of the times. So you can just look over the LinkedIn, take over whatever the things you need to talk, and done.
So that's a great tip for all the guys who are just having here. But don't mention the CTO and for all those guys for just SPF record. One more time, let me tell you.
So don't go for like I have reported this SPF and it's not working. Don't do that. So if you think like you have SQL
If it's only
injection,
P1 to P1, then it's great. If you're just able to do something crazy, I'm not only saying P1, it's just a crazy thing. Then only mention it.
more than P1, I guess.
Yeah, there's something crazy. There is, above than the P1, you can name it as crazy bug. There is no
So
severity for it.
let's suppose using a IDOR, you can delete the account of that specific user from organization.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think so. That's a big issue. It's a security issue. But let's suppose using IDOR, you can delete the account of admin itself or CEO or CTO itself.
Do
That
try to
creates
do it, but
just don't do it. So just try to tell that you can do this or this can be go at this level. So that would be very a good thing for people to understand at the higher level.
absolutely. So it's all about having a particular approach to everything. So to all these things, like a lot of people are usually asking about there are multiple things. About the JS things. There are multiple little bit things that you know. So a lot of people would be asking, where did you learn this? So it's all about experience or Twitter.
So I learned this by experience by watching other people videos. And first thing I read the article of Ziciano about the JavaScript files,
Yeah, I have
and
read that. That was crazy, I guess.
so that's very aesthetic and traditional article which I read. But I said like if he can do this kind of things, I can try to escalate because when I was in UK, I had very few discussion. I told my ideas. I'm trying to do this because when I met him, he said like these kind of things can be done. I said like yes, it's possible. We can do that. And when I came back to the India, so I said like let's give a try. If it's a possible, let's give a try. So my first idea about the JavaScript file was I can curl the JavaScript file and using that specific curl and grep things, I can extract a lot of good kind of information by creating few patterns, which was available on GitHub and everything. But fortunately, ChatGPT, the AI came in market, and my ideas got like a boom. So okay, so patterns creation will be easy, curling will be easy, graping will be easy, and all the automation things I can do at once.
Like few time ago, I have made a video on ChatGPT and bug bounties, the collaboration of bug
Mhm.
bounty with ChatGPT. In that, I have seen how to create particular scripts to find information disclosures, to find bugs for you. The particular thing that we're talking about. There is a process we know as source code review.
Yeah.
Like few time ago, people were having a very, like spending months to learn it, and now ChatGPT can do it for us, do it for you for just single click. In just a
Yeah,
single click, ChatGPT can do few things for you. But in
it
the end,
can
the
at a
visually,
very,
yeah,
I guess, certain level.
yeah, I'm just mentioning that it can do on a certain level. But when it comes to logically looking for it, it's only a human can do that.
So the first reply will get like as an AI language model, I'm not having
Yeah,
access to this or that. So I
you have
said, okay.
remembered it, man.
So I just literally asked, can you create this pattern? I'm just tricking the chat GPT for my pattern which I need. Because when I put, can you create the script for this? So it
As
says,
an AI model, I can't
yeah.
do that.
So I said, like, can you create a pattern for this specific path to extract from JS file by using a curl or grep or these commands? So it creates that. I run, I put it, works fine. I get my all the paths. I can save it in TXT. I increase the command thing. So this very helpful actually, because in my mind it creates a lot of prompts actually, that I can do this, do that, and whenever I wake up in the morning, I said, okay, what's the next? What's my next target? How can I hunt more and more? So
Yep.
that things happen.
And rather than hunting, we are discussing on API. We have discussed a little bit part of API. Yeah, there's
Mhm.
a big doubt of a lot of people ask me like how to identify an API. Like it's normal that we can identify API by equals to, but particularly what service the API operates. Like suppose it's a Google API, it will be starting from AL, right? So there are multiple APIs that are working on different platforms or different services. How to identify the API of what is the API source or what is the API's work at that point.
So there is, let's suppose if you have taken a specific target for your site or for your, let's suppose, let's talk about the Dell.com, which is
Yep.
publicly there. So what I would do if I wanted to read for the API documentation to have multiple access points or endpoints. So I would go for in URL documenter.postman.com
Mm-hmm.
and then Dell.com. So what will happen? There are publicly documentation created by other people. So that would help to get all the API endpoints about the Dell or whatever the target I'm looking for. So I'm again telling the keyword documenter.postman.com, and after whatever the target you have to put, you can put it. So once you get those API endpoints, you just have to validate that token or whatever the thing you have found within the GitHub
Mm-hmm.
and the base URL. If you merge that together, then it can work or not. You just have to validate those tokens with that. And even if that doesn't work, no problem. Those API paths can be useful for your testing, fuzzing, or whatever you need. But these kind of small dots, I guess I have posted it Twitter. I've done it before, but many people most of the time ignores it that this can be fine, but they really don't know how to use it. So if we,
Yeah.
even if they found it, no problem at all. But these kind of small things can be helpful.
Yeah. Like Twitter is, if we talk about only Twitter, Twitter is just a gold mine.
Yeah. So Twitter is a gold mine. So, but we don't know everything is gold or not.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's just the fake jewelry.
Yeah. So I recently posted one of the JSON tip using HTTPX using a content type by graping, and I found the same tip which is posted by some other individual from another country,
Mm-hmm.
and I did not get the jealous buzz, but many of my followers like mentioned me over there like, Aditya, this has been copied. I said, okay, let it be, let them post it. But what I felt, that tip was bit modified and it was misguiding people. I said like, okay, if you want to copy, you can copy, no problem at all. If you don't want to give a credit, no problem at all. But whatever the thing you have posted, make sure it's not misguiding other people.
Yeah.
At least you try it for 4 to 5 times, then post it.
There are multiple tips on Twitter. There's a very great Twitter war.
Yeah,
We all know about
a
that.
lot of controversies. Actually, I love that whole things.
There is a friend who said me that if there is a controversy, take a part into it, you will get followers, and then just take a step back. I said that's a very bad strategy, but yeah, that's a very weird thing. And
No,
the Twitter wars are great.
I know the people who want a very good controversy, and most of the time I just ignore things. And even if I reply those people, I just put like a Jai Sri Ram. That's it.
We do, we don't, we don't need you. I'm so sorry, you. Very simple thing. कोई जरूरत नहीं इस देश में तुमको.
We think a lot of over it actually, but
Absolutely.
some of the people, I literally tell people like, okay, so if you want to mess with me, just please tell me your address. I'll be there at your location. I don't have any money problem. Even in any country, any state, if any city, if you are still there, just one time come with your identity and let me do some bug bounty over you. So that will be very
Very
real time
useful.
testing. Yes.
Just don't make your name anonymous. It doesn't matter here. If you wanna
So
make if you wanna make a controversy,
what's the
let's play
point
in one v
over?
one.
What's the point over that? Like you are creating a fake account just to abuse that person. Just go with the real identity and let's face it together. No? Let's make it face to face. 1v1, no problem at all.
That will be a very great match there.
Yeah.
So that controversies are great. Twitter wars are very weird things. But there was a very great issue. There was a very big issue few time ago. I don't know when it was. The issue of someone is stealing someone else's bounty screenshot and posting on its own profile. You remember
Yeah,
that?
it goes all around. It's from LinkedIn, from Instagram, it's from Twitter, it's posted on everywhere, and now the threads also. So there are a lot
Threads,
of
man.
things going on. So I just ignore it. Even if I see the things, most of the time I am that person who will be silent in the room, watch everything, and if I felt like I need to jump in. So that time I will jump in, or else I will just watch people. Okay, let them play, no problem at all. I just have to study, hunt. That's it.
And Twitter is great. If you're following the right people out there,
Yeah, there are a
Twitter
lot
can
of
be the greatest thing. All of that is like follow 15 to 20 people, including you, and having all the notifications turned on. So every time any of them retweet any photo or something, some resources or some sort of tweet, that's the cool thing. Because most of the things are on there. They usually retweet the new CVs, new details, new tips, new bypasses. And that's all what you need.
they just they what I felt, because I used to do these things in my back days when I started actually. So I used to retweet that specific tweet, but what I felt, I got the comments like, have you tried this, have you checked over this? I said okay. So without checking or validation, if we retweet something, that would create issues. And as per my thing or my followers, whatever I have right now, if I retweet something, most of the time people will say, okay, he retweeted, that means valid. So I have to check that if it's real or not. If it's a false or misguiding, then it will be a very big issue, because I don't want to waste my time and other people time also.
And
So what?
obviously, the people who are following you as an idol and as a mentor, they will be having few problems, right?
Still, it creates a question that
Absolutely.
if I'm retweeting this as an Aditya Shende or concept, whatever it is, have I tried this? Is it
And
legitimate
it
or is it?
really matters at all.
So I put few time for myself. I copy the tweet links. I post it on my own self group. I check that later. If any of the tip is working, or even if I'm not getting any bug, but if it's still working, it is highly possible that it can work on other domains. So I just retweet that. After the validation, I do that. I did the mistake in my back, but nowadays I just validate the things, that how can I go for more apart from this.
Yeah, so it really matters when it comes to the Twitter. Twitter is
Yeah,
not just a social media, there are two things in it, Twitter wars and the Twitter responsibility, I guess.
it goes. अभी तो बच्चे करते हैं wars, अभी हो गया है बहुत टाइम.
Bilkul. It's all about, having a peaceful life out there.
Yeah. दो पैसे रहेंगे, खुश रहेंगे बस. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. All
Yep.
maintained.
Everything in the balance.
Yeah.
So there's a question. If you're having your study on bug bounty, what are the resources for study? What resources will you use for studying?
So for resources, what I would do, because some of the vulnerabilities I don't know, so I would learn the vulnerability replication from Podccast, and I will replicate those vulnerabilities on some of the local websites, or I will create one environment for myself. So I'll try to replicate that. So let's
Hmm.
suppose any vulnerability needs like a JSP or ASPX extension. So I would look for over the Google, and I will try to replicate, because what I felt like CTF and all other vulnerable things are already buggy. So in real time, we don't know which website or which vulnerability can be found.
Yep.
So I will take 10 websites. In 10 website, I will check that one vulnerability. So let's talk about cache deception or cache poisoning. So I'll look for 10 websites for cache poisoning. At least in one endpoint, I will find it.
Yep.
But it consumes a lot of time actually.
Yeah.
So if many people have the corporate jobs, students have classes, all those things, and I do by myself, I have a lot of things to do, but still I take out the time to find or learn new things. So first priority I will give for ports figure replication to the real time uh, procedures.
Yep. And one more thing, not forget to mention, which is your favorite bug these days?
So my favorite bug these days is information disclosure. If you look at the ESV had timelines, you can see the name Aditya Shende CWE 290 information disclosure all over that.
That's
So
great. So I don't think that I have to ask you how you found information disclosure. We are having a great discussion on it till that, right?
yes, it's
So
absolutely fantastic.
let's talk about the SSRF, the most in demand topic about Aditya Shinde or Kongsec. So would you like to quote something about SSRF, the server side request forgery?
So SSRF for
I have
myself,
especially two questions after you. Can
yeah.
you can finish
So
it?
this is like basically most of the time file fetching or upload section. Nowadays, there are few issues I am finding related to the SSRF. So what I do nowadays, I used to look for file upload things, and if I can upload a file thing, I used to create SVG code.
Mm-hmm.
So if I upload that, I try to trigger the HTTP interaction over my servers. For testing, I use a collaborator, and that's it. But nowadays, I'm looking more into file upload functions. Like try to bypass the file upload, upload the SVG. I can trigger the XSS or stored XSS, whichever I want. Plus, I can go for the SSRF. Apart from that, most of the time, like PDF converters or XLS converters or whatever the sites you have, which includes URL function or add link function. So those functions can be very useful for SSRF, but that can lead to the external SSRF or blind SSRF. But if you escalate that with the more whitelisting bypass methodologies by appending special characters or symbols, then you can achieve the SSRF in the backend. But it's like a hell lot of big process, because when I teach SSRFs to students, most of the time students be like, कुछ समझ नहीं आया पूरा ऊपर से चला गया. So it's like very in the beginning, if you know alphanumeric, if you know like octet, IP addressing, hexadecimal, all those things, then you can jump on the vulnerability. I chose this vulnerability because one of my friend, almost like 6 years back, he told me like, can't you even find one SSRF? Because that time he was very known to these things, and I just know the keyword SSRF. I said, okay, I will do the study, and from almost 3 years, I'm taking down the notes for SSRF. So nowadays, SSRF is like a bit competition for myself. I don't know about others, because if the new application comes up, AI is there, Web3, all the SSOs and all those things, Akamai, Ghost, Cloudflare, load balancers, that create a lot of question against my mind. Even if I'm getting the IP address, does that belongs to target, intranet, or internal network? So not sure about it, like how it would go, but I can give you the tip that if you see file upload, even if in chatbot or chat applications or any kind of application, so you can go with the SVG extension, and there are a lot of codes available on the internet. So you can go for the SSRF using file uploads.
And the most asked question, the extremely, there is no big word for it, but you can say that the most asked question is what to do after getting the collaborator HTTP ping back in SSRF.
So basically, I check that a specific IP address with the who is IP, whom it belongs to. I check the whole information about those IP address. If it that belongs to any of the third-party services like Amazon, Google, or MSRC,
Hmm.
Azure Cloud, I usually left it. But if those IP address I'm receiving constantly, because in load balancer or content delivery networks, the IP address get changed. But constantly, if I'm receiving the HTTP interaction with the same IP address, including my IP address, so I would probably check with the interaction. It's that specific port that I will force that specific request on a specific port to check the time balance or the time delay between request and response, plus that time delay which can represents the HTTP response. So let's suppose on a 22 port, I'm getting a response after 10 seconds. On 443, I'm getting response like within 1 second. Same thing defines at HTTP interaction. So if I'm getting that at within, let's suppose 1 or 2 seconds on 443, so I would differentiate between which port can be forceful or which port cannot be forceful. So that would consider as a cross port scan. So over that, if I perform the post script using a Python or Bash, if I'm constantly performing it, like on a specific port, if I'm banging that port all the time, like done, done, done. So after a few time, I won't get any HTTP request. And unfortunately, that specific SSRF may lead to a denial of service attack because we are just forcing one port to create HTTP or malform the request, which is very basic at the inducing. So if you get the HTTP interaction, check the IP address whom it belongs to. Check using that IP address if any kind of ports are open. Instead of bug collaborator, you can exchange the IP address within your parameter or vulnerable parameter. Or else, if you believe it can be a third party application, you can add the localhost parameter by using alphanumeric payloads, or else you can go with the localhost payload. But nowadays, localhost doesn't work. So there is a PDF actually which I made for bug bounty tips by myself, and there are some payloads that might work for you in the SSRF. So that's the thing you have to do.
So that's the exact idea for all those who will be asking. Get to share the topic, share how Aditya do his own SSRF. So here is himself explaining the SSRF. In the last thing, from the past 3 months, I have been working on remote code execution and command execution.
Mm-hmm.
So I found a few parameters in which I was able to access the whole Solar, Apache Solar, like 27 RCs on a single program. And
Mm-hmm.
imagine what they just replied. They can give me an NA, but they don't want to. Okay, if they want, they have the power to do that. They just gave me a very sophisticated reply with informational status. They just said that okay, we are known to this website, but no one has reported previously, and we are closing this report.
And that's weird actually. So if they know it already, why they should put it open or they have to
They
patch
know
it?
this from 2 years, man.
अरे बाप रे.
Unexplainable. मैंने बाकी के रिपोर्ट ही नहीं किए.
Selected me. I don't. जहाँ से पैसा मिलता है वहाँ से निकालो. That's it.
बस
Do
तब
the
भाई.
work. That's it.
Bounties is life. What do you think? Is bounty enough to live the life? Someone has really asked me today. Where is the life? Yeah.
For myself, bug bounties, if you are doing very passionately, and let's suppose you are maybe going for a full-time bug bounty hunter, so yes, it's enough. But for experienced people who have, like, I would say by myself, because I decided in my first year when I started that I would do bug bounty full-time. But after a few time I have realized, okay, might be sometimes I get the bounty, sometimes I don't get, so it's like a 50-50.
Absolutely.
But nowadays, I do have a good confidence on myself, even if I'm going through a bulk bounties rely on. So I would make a good amount of money. Apart from that, if you want to do, start reading and implementation. That's it.
And what about report writing?
Sorry?
What about report writing in the end, the final step?
Report writing, I make all the time short report. All the time short report.
No
Keep
big
simple.
descriptions of 12 lines and impact
No,
of having hundreds of impacts.
no, title, description, steps. If needed, then I put the post request or response. If it's more needed, then I would put the video, or else my report would be like maybe almost 12 to 15 lines, not more than that. From hi to thank you. That's it.
And yeah, it's very simple. You are the trial, you need to solve the issue. What is the issue impact? I don't have to tell you, right?
You know the thing. I have written the few example over it, over the reference of it. You check it,
Yep.
and if you don't believe, then you can't do anything. But there are few. Most of the time, hunters are very needful because they do a lot of hunting, and they like most of the time I have seen a bug bounty hunter who recently started, who desperately wants the bounties. They're really doing good, but sometimes they forget about the health and they are constantly doing the things. So what mistakes I did, you don't do it. Focus on the things, money will come and go. Make sure the health is important.
Yep. And I'm having a very severe cold, and I'm doing this podcast with you, right?
Yeah, all the thing.
So everything is important at its own. And by the end of the podcast, would you like to mention five key takeaways for the viewers? Let's count it. So, what will be the first key takeaway?
Okay, so I guess I would go with seven.
Seven takeaways.
uh, yeah, seven number is good, I guess.
Okay. So the first conclusion.
So it was about the reconnaissance, the thing what we have seen, and mostly the stepwise things in the recon what we do.
Yep. The second one. Conclusion.
Second one about the JavaScript files which we ignore for most of the paths.
Yep.
So use
JavaScript.
that. Yeah,
That was a very big topic, by the way.
yeah, that's a big a lot.
The third one.
Third one, I would say about the Google docking and extension that we ignore on
Yeah.
wide.
Yeah. I got an idea. Like I have a whole docking page on my GitHub from around more than a year. I don't know that. I will also share all the links that you will share me after the video, and also few links that I had. I guess I need to share it. There are a lot of resources in it, and I never shared it. So, what will the fourth one?
So fourth one, I will go with the basically source code check for API keys and tokens. It depends on the graping and curl. Nowadays, ChatGPT
Okay.
rejects patterns.
The fifth one.
The fifth one, I would go with internal access of the desk. So intention is that how you can access a good kind of information by leveraging a good bug. So try to access something that you don't have. So might be sometimes it might be illegal or unauthorized to hear,
Yep.
but for bug bounty hunters it would be good.
The sixth one now.
Sixth one is less report, good impact, real time impact, not the chat GPT or whatever the public impact.
Yep.
That's
And
it.
down to the last conclusion.
Sorting the URLs and checking the domains by analyzing the webalizer technologies, PHP,
Hmm.
ASPX, create the word list as per the target. That's it.
That was a very great seven key takeaways.
Yeah.
Now you are having a live hunting on the 7th August, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. I would really like to join in that. I will be on the channel. Let's see what we are doing there on that day. And
Sure.
that was for the podcast. Thanks for being the guest here once again. And hopefully we'll be making another videos in future. So let's see.
See you.